All right, you guys, welcome back to the channel. So, as you know, within the last 24 hours, Pam Bondi, I call her Bondi because she's always bombing out, essentially went before Congress and gave her testimony, or non-testimony, shall we say, about the Epstein files. Now, understand that Bondi serves the president. So she will say and do whatever the president says. So reserve your anger for what she's been instructed to do. Obviously, she is a lapdog for Donald Trump. And the problem is we're not getting any answers. But let me summarize this for you because it's actually pretty simple. Trump tried to have his name and all of his rich buddies' names who were accused and settled out of court with victims. He tried to have all of their names redacted from the files, and he redacted a bunch of his names as well. And they got caught. And what they were really hoping was that they would abide by the law in terms of releasing the files, but that we would all just move along and not really dig into the files, right? To even know that that it was wrongfully redacted. Let's cut to the chase. The Epstein Transparency Act says that they cannot redact people to protect them, that they were only supposed to redact the people who were the victims. So therefore, what Trump has done is illegal. And had everyone just moved on from this and considered it was a distraction, then they would have never been called out on this. Right? Now, in any other reality, there would be at least 20 billionaires and probably 50 other people that would be brought up on charges. There would be a full-blown investigation about the corruption and how all of this was overlooked. They would be serving jail time. Trump and his entire DOJ and FBI cabinet would be impeached for intentionally breaking the Epstein Transparency Act law. But we don't live in that reality, do we? We live in this reality. We live in a backwards world. Now, I want to address why I will not unredact redacted images. It's pretty plain. It's pretty simple. I was a little bit shocked at how some of you reacted and came at me yesterday in the chat. I usually do try to go back on every show and rewatch the show to critique myself and also to check in the chat. And I saw that several of you were irritated with me that I simply won't open up Microsoft Word and copy and paste the redacted images into Word so that we could see behind the redactions. Well, the Bible says we are supposed to be gentle as doves and wise as serpents. Did we really think they were going to give us all these files without setting some traps for us? Did we really think that? Everything they do is a honey trap. Just like Jan 6. Did we really think they were going to give us all this information and not set traps for us? Here's what the law says. If you knowingly unredact an image that has been redacted by a federal entity, it's a felony offense. Now, mainstream news isn't telling you this because, of course, they're not going to tell you this. So these people going around calling you a shill for not using the hack, especially publishing it online, is leading you into another honey trap. We have to wait until they legally unredact the images before I can show you anything. And when they unredact them, which the law says they have to, at some point, then we will go over the evidence. Let me read to you what can happen. Literally, I could be black bagged and you'd never see me again, thrown in some gulag somewhere, if I were to do what many of you are begging me to do. Unredacting a document, particularly one containing protected personal identifier information or sealed court information can be a federal offense, depending on the methods used and the intent. Unauthorized attempts, that would be using the hack, to bypass redaction, especially using digital techniques on court records to uncover sensitive data. Minors' names may violate privacy regulations and federal laws regarding obstruction of justice or unauthorized access to records. Now, I'm not going to go into the actual code of the law, but understand that the people telling me to do this are the very ones that haven't even taken the time to look for themselves to see actually what's in the files. You guys, I told you that when dataset 10 came out, it was the most sensitive dataset. There was unspeakable horrors that I had to wade through to try to get down to the truth, because our government won't do this for us. There was literally child porn on there, videos. In the act, Epstein was sick. He would send the children into a room with a toy and make them videotape themselves for his pleasure. And I had to filter through this garbage. And, you want me to unredact that? Well, guess what? Now I'm in possession of child porn. So no, I'm not going to unredact this stuff until they unredact it. So that's why I'm not unredacting the files, even though it sounds like, no big deal, just copy and paste. I just read to you the law. I'm not going to put this channel at risk. I'm not going to put you at risk by telling you to do it. Now, if you want to do it, you want to put up a YouTube video on your channel, and, I don't even know if I would share that, but go right ahead. So a little soft rebuke there. You guys have to trust me. I've been at this for many, many years. This is why we still have a channel, because we're careful, aren't we? And anytime the heat starts ticking up, we back away. We reformulate how we're going to present this information. We use code words. Just do it. No big deal. Probably a bot. I just read to you the law. You want to go to prison? Not me. It's a crime, a felony. So, now, what else is going on? I told you I would dig deeper into people with special abilities mentioned in the Epstein files, and I found some interesting stuff. Epstein actually had a keen interest in this field of special abilities. He even went so far as to fund a study called the Fenwick Study about people with special abilities. And in the emails, Epstein did seem skeptical, but he was curious and put his money behind it. It's as if his interest in identifying and studying and destroying these subjects was his goal rather than positive causes. He didn't seem to have a respect for people with abilities. He just wanted to find out who they were so he could look at them. And that's the vibe that I get when I'm looking through these emails. I get a vibe that maybe he was looking for maybe the last day's remnants. Now, what were they looking for? Well, I'm going to read some of these emails. They were looking for anybody who has what they call the knowing, or some kind of clairvoyance, or X-Men, if you will. And the majority of Epstein's discussions centered around these topics, and he was in communication with this guy, Gino Yu. And he was a professor. And he was pining for Epstein to show up to some of these, what they call gatherings, to meet these alleged people with special abilities. Now, this went all the way to the top. Even Jeff Bezos is mentioned in here as setting up these gatherings to bring people with special abilities. But again, Epstein seems to dismiss the claims for whatever reason. Now, let's read through some of these emails. This is pretty crazy. Now, this is Gino Yu. Says here, Hong Kong-based academic and technologist known for his work in digital entertainment, game development, and the study of human consciousness. Now, this should give you some pause here. Game development. Are they looking for these people through gaming? Is that how they're finding these people? So here's an email from Jeffrey. But let's go back to the chain here. Let's go back to the beginning of this one. So, who's this Giuseppe guy? All right. So there was some kind of conference in Cuba, but this is from Gino Yu to Jeffrey. He says, let me chase that down. The conference was mainly to bring greater collaboration between Europe and Cuba. It was an eye-opening for me to see the developments in Cuba and tap into another community of researchers isolated from the mainstream that was also doing work in meditation, etc. The conference was presentations and posters. If you're interested in written stuff and crazy new theories, I have a young guy here in China that I've been supporting. He wrote the attached, never went to university, picked up quantum mechanics on his own. Please take a look at the links I sent in the previous email. Also, let me know what conditions you have on the remainder of the 100K. So, Epstein was sending this guy $100,000 and more to look into this stuff. He then says, would love to have a conversation with you on the metaphysics of how and why things happen as they do. Hope the passport situation in Paris turned out okay. I have a few seers I can bring over to see you that I would have to fly to New York City. Epstein then replies, there are no deliverables. There are responsible documentation. You already know this. The machine that Ed was using was 40 years old with a fake STCER. And the doctor, he said, worked on it was accused of fraud, all a waste of time. So they were trying to quantify these special abilities. And so Epstein's responding, look, you got to show me deliverables, responsible documentation in order for him to keep funding this work. Let's get into this next email. Now, in this email, let's see here. What's going on? It's hard to follow these email chains sometimes. They get confusing. Let's go to the top. This is from a guy named Giuseppe to Gino and Epstein. He says, Dear Gino, wonderful news. Give me just fee days since I am over busy in Beijing now for intensive series of a meeting, then I will be back to you with a final definition. The main issue at this point is to merge your fantastic innovative ideas with clinical research topics expected by Cuban attendees. Now, what are they doing on Cuba? You have to wonder what the connection is here because, remember, this is all about isolated populations. Epstein had already brought up Iceland. He already brought up St. Thomas Island. Because of their isolated population, he was really interested in genetics. Here, he says, Jeffrey is also really well connected and can bring significant relationships to make this an amazing event. So, studying people with special abilities, synesthesia, empaths, etc. I know a few and work with people like this. So they're talking about what the goals are of these conferences. And Cuba seems to fit into here. quite fascinating to put together business, consciousness, and neuroscience. Happy Chinese New Year. Remember the Chinese calendar? Well, apparently these people believe in this as well. In terms of this is they're the people doing this stuff. Now, let's keep watching. Let's take a look here. Then they bring up Deepak Chopra. This is from Epstein. And he's responding to Gino Yu. Hi, Jeffrey. Was talking to Masha again, and I told her about the post-Cuba event. She would like to be involved. We are talking about bringing 12 very interesting people together on the personal development and special ability space in an open format for 3 days. Now, I read this one yesterday, this email from Gino to Jeffrey. And many of you noticed, why 12 people and why 3 days? Well, this is all blasphemy. The 12 disciples, Jesus died and rose again in 3 days. They're trying to tap into something here. A dark side version. The 12 abilities, just like the disciples had a special abilities, right? They could heal because they were close to Jesus. Wow. This was back in 2017. Now, at this time, again, Epstein was a known PDF file, and Gino chose to have this ongoing relationship with him. Oh, let's go back to this, because, again, Epstein replies to him. He says, so far, with Deepak Ramachandran, I have seen no one with special abilities, not one. Some savants, but uninteresting. Many claims, but none have withstood the tests, whatever those tests are. There's the SAND conference this weekend in San Jose. Deepak's going. New York easiest. Going to this next one here. This one is from Gino to Jeffrey Epstein. He says, I hear he gets people with special abilities at these events. And he's talking about an event that Jeff Bezos has put on. So this is second-hand information, but if Gino is telling Epstein that Bezos is putting on an event, a super secret campfire event, they call it, then it's likely true. Gather at Jeff Bezos' super secret campfire event. So the point here is that this goes all the way to the top. Epstein had access to all of these rich people that are now in Trump's cabinet or close to Trump. When Trump rolled out the tech oligarchs, all of these people were there. He had them for dinner, paraded them out in front of us. They were talking about Stargate AI. All of them are implicated. Here's another email from Gino Yu to Epstein. He says, may do first Sai Wu gathering end June in China. These people don't even use complete sentences. Can you come? So he's inviting him to this, what they call a Sai Wu event. This was in 2017. Creepy. Let's see. Let's go back to the beginning of this here. This is Epstein says, anyone in New York, including you, or Paris. And then Gino says back to Jeffrey, what days are you in Paris? 12 to 15 of each month. He also has special abilities, whoever this person is, A-L-A-I-N, maybe, Alan. He's normally based in Monaco. You are funding Peter Fenwick's study of him. So here's the proof that Epstein was funding this Fenwick study. Now, I don't know what the Fenwick study is, but it sounds important. And it sounds like it's about people with special abilities. Gino then says, I'm organizing another, whatever fest gathering in Europe at the end of April. And he asks, does Davos and that community interest you? So Epstein was involved in Davos as well. Now, what does this one say? Gino to Jeffrey Epstein and other people. He says, Hi, Max. I've CC'd my benefactor, Jeffrey Epstein, to this email. Would love for your dad to meet with him on September 6th. Can you also send Jeffrey info about his background, especially work in PSI? Now, I don't know what PSI is. Sounds like metaphysical or new age. I've also loved to meet with him the next time I go into Chicago or East Coast. As I mentioned to you in our meeting, I'm planning a series of gatherings between scientists and people with special abilities. Then we get an email from Andrew Link, don't know who that is, to Gino U, and they CC Jeffrey. Hi, Jeffrey. It is nice to meet you, and thank you, Gino, for an introduction. I'll be happy to facilitate a meeting with my dad sometime next week. Here's a quick recap of my father's unusual accomplishments. Non-traditional medicine, healing, extensive research in that field from the late 70th till late 90th. Involved with military and government programs in formal Russia, USSR, in the fields of healing, predictions, subconscious influences, and addictions. Wow. He has developed a proprietary system for elimination of alcohol addiction, 95% success. Had developed similar addiction-related systems for smoking and drugs. Involved in longevity research and developed unique holistic dietary and lifestyle preferences. So, Andrew Max Link, whoever this guy is, setting up a meeting with his father. Here's another email stream here. What is this about? Just more coordination, looking for people with special abilities. Dean Radin sends an email to Jeffrey Epstein. Says, I'm free Monday morning from 9 to 11 Pacific time, which I gather is 6 to 8 Paris time. Would sometime in that range work for you? Another possibility. So they're setting up an arrangement to talk about this stuff. I don't know who Dean Radin is, but that's pretty much what I pulled out of the Epstein files regarding people with special abilities. Now, it doesn't say what ended up happening, what was the result of all this. We don't really get a snapshot into that per se, unless I haven't dug deep enough. But that's what I pretty much found with all of this. And absolutely, there has to be a connection with Cuba. Why hold a conference in a place like Cuba? Because again, that's an isolated population. And Epstein was fascinated with this. He wanted to mine the information out of these populations, genetic information that he thought he could use to solve different disease states, is what they claim. But I think there's far more to this. I think they're actually looking for the last days remnant. Wow. All right, I'm back in the chat, you guys. Good morning. Now, what are you guys' thoughts on all this? Okay, let me zoom you up. Interesting, the USSR connection, isn't it? PSI factor or factor X. Is that what that is, Scott? Thanks. Sounds like pounds per square inch. Like I'm inflating a tire or something. The Mexican model that came out of the hotel screaming they're eating people and then disappeared. Is she in the files? What was her name? I can look it up. I'm trying to look into other sites that have mined the information off the DOJ website that are much more easily searchable, because right now it's like, oh my gosh, it's like watching paint dry trying to go through these files. A lot of people have taken the files and, fixed it basically so you can search through it. Good morning. USSR had those paranormal studies, but they were angelic part of the battle, unlike the USA. Epstein skipped 2 grades, graduated 2 years early, dropped out of college without completing his degree in mathematical physiology. Yes, Charlie Kirk's security was not scheduled for the next event. Yep, that is true. They didn't even schedule the security, even though they typically schedule that security months and months and months out. His next event after the Screwting assassination, there was no security set up. So, in other words, they knew he wasn't going to show up to the next event. Inside job. Yep, people do not want to talk about the truth. And really what they're saying is, oh, I screwed up by voting for Trump. And they don't want to admit it. So it's just easier to say, I don't want to talk about politics. I don't want to face that or deal with it. Keanu Reeves opened a fridge somewhere and there were dead babies in it. He went ballistic. Oh, wow. I didn't hear about that. Wonder if he's in the Epstein files. Let's look him up. Keanu Reeves. Let's copy and paste it because my spelling is horrible. Now here's a site that I found. It's called Epstein Graph. I don't know how good it is, but let's search. Keanu Reeves mentioned 5 times. Let's see, but that was all in 2011. He was mentioned. A lot of these are just news stories. Summarizing federal news items, investigations, forward a promotional email thread, flying over, email thread. Let's click on this. Yeah, this site I think is a little bit better to search through some of this stuff. Just a shame, our government. It's a crying shame. Trump said he will revoke churches tax exempt if they criticize him. Well, there you go. Again, that's the 501c3, right? So there's your Gemini Trump once again. Remember, he said he would loosen up the guidelines on 501c3. That was during, I think that was at the end of his last term. Going into the election, he thought he was going to get the help of the churches. He allowed them to speak about politics. He allowed money to be poured into the churches. He even held one of his rallies, I believe, at a huge church venue and said he wouldn't be enforcing the rules that they put on the 501c3 about limiting politics and things like this. Well, and we criticize that because I told you, Jesus threw the money out of the temple, didn't he? And so now Trump put the money back in the temple. And I said, that's wrong. We're not supposed to have money flowing into churches. It's not supposed to work like that for politics. That's an abomination. So anyway, we talked about that. Of course, nobody cared. Well, the people on this channel care, but the mainstream don't care. They're like, whatever. And the Christians that supported Trump didn't care. They're like, good, now we can vote for Trump and talk about him. You see the problem here? And then I told you, well, hey, what's stopping, left-wing groups from coming in and financing churches? And that's exactly what happened. The left came in and started pouring money into churches, and now we have gay churches. See the problem? I hope you do. Well, if what you're saying is correct, that Trump is now threatening churches that if they speak out against him, he can pull their 501c3, then he's just done a complete 180 about face. In other words, if it doesn't serve him, he shuts it down. He only does things when he has, because remember, during that time period, when he loosened up the 501c3, everybody thought Trump was a Christian, remember? Oh, he's our most godly president. They were showing him as basically a messianic figure. So people were supporting Trump in the churches. We all remember. And then now the cat's out of the bag and people are taking a tough look at Trump. And it's no longer just a Democrat hoax. And now he's going to Wow. Can't even believe it. All right. Good point you guys brought up there. Yes, the churches were promoting the vax. I remember how angry I was about that. I couldn't believe that the churches didn't stand up and warn people, right? I mean, the best they could do that I saw was that they gave them a choice. I remember, because I was talking to my mom during this time, and I said, Mom, what's going on in the Jehovah's Witness church? Are they telling you guys to take the vaccine? She goes, no, they're leaving it up to us as a choice. But then the elders and things, it was kind of like a rope-a-dope. The elders would go out and get it, right? Or share that they got it. So even though they were giving a choice, the Jehovah's Witnesses, they always follow the elders and what they call the faithful and discreet slave. They do what they tell them to do pretty much. So if they got it, they're by default, they're going to get it. Now, my mom did not get it because I think that was like the black factor. You know, she has distrust naturally of our government because of the history of what they've done to black people. You know, so she did not take it for those reasons, but other people did take it, you know. So yeah, the churches did not stand up, and they didn't stand up against the lockdowns either. They were doing all this. Remember, Zoom and Skype, that all that blew up under the pandemic. I didn't even know what Zoom was before the pandemic. And all of a sudden, boom, here's Zoom. Oh, you don't have to go anywhere. You just, you know, go on camera, talk through the internet. So that's, I should look up Zoom in the files. Well, that's going to be kind of hard to search because here's what's going on. These people have access to your cameras. Think of all the children that were staying at home, had to go to school through the Zoom. And these people would look through this. They have access to the cameras. They were targeting children. Well, yeah, that's just going to show us everything. Yeah, I'll have to dig into that and see if I can find anything in the files. So the church has completely failed. And here's the irony of it. Now, I'm not picking on Jehovah's Witnesses. All churches, I believe, all 501c3 churches are compromised. But Jehovah's Witnesses will literally deny a blood transfusion till they die. They literally will die rather than take a blood transfusion. But yet, they fell right in line when the government said, you need to stay home. And they didn't stand up and say, hey, there might be something about this vaccine that you might not want to take it. So, anytime you sign up to an organization or, you know, a religious sect, you're gonna do what they tell you to do, that's pretty much a cult. You have to be able to think for yourself. There should be a direct line of communication with God where you're not seeing that through the lens of other men telling you what to do. This is why I tell you on this channel, I don't ever tell you guys to do anything. I suggest to you, I'm like, hey, here's my example. Here's what I've done. It's worked in my life. I tell you what the Bible says. But when it comes to my opinion on a lot of things, I just pretty much say, you know, I might not know all the answers, but this is what I think. And that's how leaders should be talking to you. They shouldn't claim that they know everything. Only God knows everything. So, all right, what else is going on? Good morning. Let's see how many people we got in today. Oh, I got about 600 people watching. Thanks everybody for showing up. Appreciate you. Yeah, we're just all here trying to figure this out, all of us together. So, a lot of nurses and doctors retired. You know, everyone that I've spoken to that worked in medicine, COVID was a turning point. That's probably a bad choice of words, right? But they realized that something was absolutely wrong, and a lot of people retired. Some people took the bait, and they ended up getting the vaccine. A lot of people regret it. So, but if you were tuned in to this channel, I'm thinking about 95% of you guys listened and didn't get it. And look, you're fine. You're fine. Remember all the fear they put into us? Oh, it doesn't matter if you have natural immunity. And then we sat and watched as all of the people that went and got it, friends and family, kept going every single time. First, second, and I'm being careful with my words here. First, second booster. And then they kept getting, every year they'd get sick again. Oh, that's because you need another booster. We're like, how do they keep getting it? Well, we know God's not stupid. He made us with an ability to fight off these things. But we were told it was the deadliest disease in the history of mankind. Billions of people are going to die. The supply chain is going to be interrupted. There will be no gas, no electricity. Nurses will be sick, and doctors will be sick, and there'll be nobody to treat the sick. The bodies are going to be piled up in mass graves. And this went on and on, the fear. Remember this? And then we sat and watched Africa, who had like literally a 5 to 15% vaccination rate. Did the entire continent of Africa die? No, that's because those numbers were underreported because it's a third world country. Okay, where are all the mass graves? Oh, that's because it's so far out in the bush, we don't have no recollection of the mass grave. These people lie to us. And now we're finding out that Epstein was working with Bill Gates to come up with almost the exact scenario of what we had to go through in both Ebola and COVID. And they wanted to make money on vaccines. So now it's proven we were right. And if anyone, if you have latent and lingering, family and friends who just hated you, they just hated you because you didn't get the vaccine. They kept you out of the family gatherings. No, you can't show up. You're not vaccinated. Right? Now you've been exonerated because the Epstein files prove. Show them that Kim Iverson show that we played yesterday. Show that to him. Say, hey, look, this is the last thing I have to say about all this. But, I feel really hurt that, you guys wouldn't let me come over and meet my new granddaughter or something. Or, you excluded me because I didn't wear a mask and all these things. Well, here's black and white evidence that the PDF file in chief, who was born on Inauguration Day. Yeah. Did you know this? Here's the true Presidente. Here's the true Presidente of pretty much the whole thing. Jeffrey Epstein was born on Inauguration Day. He's the real president. He was the one running everything. He planned an entire pandemic right under our noses. He died at 66 years old. There's that Gemini number. There's that Trump number. Wow. Weird. So, you've been exonerated. You should actually feel good. I know there was a lot of pain we had to go through during the pandemic. I know that it hurt. I know it was hard to stand alone. I know it. But be glad. God delivered you. He delivered you from that. And you got to see, I think the sad part, though, was how divided. It divided us from friends and family. But some of us were already pulled out of the world. I hadn't been to a concert in decades. I didn't care. Look, I don't need your overpriced concert tickets and your overpriced Disneyland. Who cares? You can keep it. I hope they go bankrupt. I hope they all go bankrupt. I hope a single person doesn't show up to a Kid Rock concert or a Bad Bunny concert. But sadly, there are so many sleep people that they will still show up. But they can keep all their nonsense. Now, I'll sit and watch it and decode it and then expose it so that you can all wake up. But I don't go into this stuff for entertainment. To me, very little of it is even entertaining. It's actually offensive. So yeah, it changed society, humanity forever. You're absolutely correct, artist known as Lisa. Yes, COVID changed everyone forever. Yep, some of you moved off grid. Yes. Or at least to the extent that you can. I know it's difficult for many people to do that, but pulling out of the beast, you're only going to feel better. You're not missing out on anything. Trust me. I've been on this earth for 52 years. And all the things I thought I really, really needed and had to do. Now, I will tell you, one thing I did that I really enjoyed, that I wanted to do, was living in a foreign country now. But that was pre-COVID. When I got to live in France for a year and a half, that was an amazing experience. But I was living a simple life there too. I was way out in the countryside. I wasn't in Paris. I was like 3 hours outside of Paris, this little tiny village of 850 people. And they're like, what are you doing here? And I got chickens, and I was living off of €100 a month, which is about $100. And part of that I would use to put fuel in my car. The other part I would use to buy some simple groceries at the local Aldi's, because there was an Aldi's in the town next door. And I would and if I could save enough, I would take little road trips, and I would go fishing kind of close by. And that was an amazing experience, just to see how other people live. And I was living in an old farmhouse from the 1800s. Literally, the date of 1800 and something was literally marked onto the blocks of stone that the house was made out of. And it had these huge hand-hewn beams in the attic that were like a foot to 2 feet thick. It was like I was in an ark or something. It was really cool. And we did videos, cruising around and showing you guys different old churches and old relics and old stuff. So that was kind of fun. But I'd rather do that than go to a concert around a bunch of sleep people. No thanks. I'd rather hang out with awake people and fellowship and that kind of stuff. But anyway, enough of that. All right. Well, what else is going on here? Yeah, I'm so glad that's over. But it sounds like maybe they're planning another one. I mean, I can't imagine after Bill Gates has been exposed, after, in his ties to the stain, I can't imagine they would try that again. But you never know, right? They might try it. They could. And there's enough sleep people they'll just go along with it. So Arthur Zelensky says, are you going to start connecting the characters from iPet Code 2 and the Epstein files? Huh. Ooh. Remember the child and the egg? The serpent wrapped around it? I think we had determined that was about vaccines, because vaccines are cultured in chicken eggs. Wow. And the drugged children. I mean, everything points back to child trafficking. I think we kind of already did. We already did connect it to the Epstein files. We did a video showing that pretty much it was all about child trafficking. The Epstein files. I'm sorry. iPet Code 2 is all about trafficking, because the goat in the crate is the kid. So we already kind of did connect those two. We did a series of videos on that. So, and remember, we went to Constantia, where the Romanian port is the largest port on the Black Sea. And we saw the shipping port, and we saw the smokestacks in the background seem to match up with the smokestacks in the backdrop of Constantia. And the goat is the kid. And we found that close by there was a goat research facility that did DNA, and they basically made an entire breed of goats there called I can't remember. There's so much information, you guys. And then we found that Dracula's castle was off in the backdrop. So, yes, Madam Q, that could be Ghislaine Maxwell. I thought the same thing, and I think we called that out as well in that decode. I said this has to be the women who enable, because they're the true evil ones, because without the women enabling these men, they probably wouldn't have been able to find as many children, because the children looked up to the women. That's how their guard was down, because the women gave them a false sense of security. It was almost like a mother figure. Ghislaine Maxwell was like a mother figure. And as soon as she could get some older girls to groom the younger girls, this is what enabled Epstein to do all this. Without Ghislaine Maxwell, none of this would have probably happened. And then remember the, what was it? The Fantasy Island episode we did, where there was an island with like an Epstein character. Remember all that? We decoded it. And then there was a woman. She was like the Ghislaine Maxwell. And we compared their birthdays, and it was crazy. Let's pull that up. Let's see if we can find it. Let's see here. Fantasy Island. Let's see if they show our video. I'm just doing a YouTube search here. Let's see if they show it to us. Nope. See, we're shadow banned. We are shadow banned. They don't even show our channel here. I hate YouTube. They are lame. Nope, doesn't show our Fantasy Island video. But anyway, there's an episode where a woman goes to an island and she's trafficked. She goes to Fantasy Island, she's trafficked to a rich billionaire. It's literally the exact story. He takes her to his island and he's got a whole harem of girls, and there's a woman, and she's the one who grooms these girls. Crazy. Epstein's female pilot is still missing. Yep, they just erase people. Now they can't kill them all, because then everybody would figure it out. So they just have these mysterious circumstances. This is shaping up to be like the Clinton. Remember the Clinton kill list? Somebody was tabulating all the dead people surrounding the Clintons. Well, now the same is happening with Trump. Like essentially everybody attached to Trump is now dying off. He must be taking notes from the Clintons. So, oh, thanks, Cannons. Appreciate it. It says, I love your shows. Highlighted my day to hang out and work in the morning. Yeah, we're kind of just riffing right now. I didn't really have a lot to show you guys today, so I'm glad we can hang out and talk about all this. Yes, YouTube is intentionally defective, Pamela. Yeah, guess what? So, have you noticed, for those of you on desktop on YouTube, you can no longer put your subscriptions in a list feed. They've forced a grid feed now. There's no choice anymore. I always used to use the list feed because for me, I like to scroll and see a bigger image of the thumbnail and scroll through all my favorite channels that I'm subscribed to. Well, now they've eliminated that. They forced a grid, so you get this huge page. And guess what happens with a huge page? Your eye zeroes in on the most effective thumbnail and all the little tricks that they use to get you to watch what they want you to watch, instead of looking at being able to see your channels that you subscribe to. So YouTube, yeah, they're lame. But unfortunately, they reached the most people. It's the one platform where, we can at least have a fighting chance. But yeah. Oh, Peter Fenwick's end-of-life studies must tie into the quest for life after death. Okay, thanks. That must be the Fenwick studies that Epstein financed. Appreciate that tidbit of information. Firefox has an extension for the list view. Yeah, I heard about that, but it could slow down your browser, because I almost did that too. I've got so many extensions already. Epstein was also involved and part owner of the school picture company. Yep. what was it? Life Touch, right? So I remember hating to get my picture taken because I'm like, I'm not doing this. In fact, if you go to my high school yearbook for my senior year, I did not get senior pictures taken. Okay. So you will not see my face in my senior. Now, junior year, sophomore year, we all took pictures and you can see my face in there. And, but, now, see, some of us have, I guess you could call it the knowing. We have a predisposition to seeing something that's dark and satanic before most people do, right? Prime example, I tell you guys a story. My daughter, back when I was fast asleep, I thought, oh, my daughter's going to like clowns, right? So I take her to clowns. My daughter would scream in horror and cry. She hated Halloween. She hated clowns. She even hated Chuck E. Cheese. She would cry when Chuck E. Cheese would come out. Well, I didn't listen. I didn't know. I was fast asleep. Well, now you know. And the same goes for going and getting your picture taken, right? So now Epstein was probably just scrolling through images of underage girls and targeting them. You guys, our entire reality. Now, how did he get away with this? That's the question you should be asking. Okay. Listen, let's put this in perspective for you, because some people are still want to leave our government off the hook and leave Trump off the hook. No. When you're a billionaire, you are under a very fine microscope. When you're in touch with billionaires, you're under a microscope. The government knows exactly what you're doing because they got no one else to focus on. They are looking at your finances as people are audited regularly or not audited. They're probably left alone because they're giving, whatever. So if you guys, let me give you an example. So I have a friend that buys classic cars. Okay. You cannot pull $10,000 out of the bank without getting an IRS audit. Banks and IRS hate large sums of cash. And, you would think in today's terms, $10,000 is not a lot of money. But guess what? You try to go pull out over $10,000 in cash, you're going to probably get an IRS audit. So what does that tell you? Okay, now we're dealing with people that are in the hundreds of thousands and billions of dollars and millions of dollars doing these transactions. So when Jeffrey Epstein's finances companies like LifeTouch, you don't think there's some government bureaucrat looking at that going, huh? And then the fact that he's a convicted PDF file, you don't think anyone would have asked the question, why would he do that? They let him get away with it. That's the whole point. Our whole country is run on adrenochrome. That's the fact of the matter. And until you come to terms with that, until you understand, this is why I quit many, many years ago investing in America. I just won't do it anymore. I'm not going to save up money in a 401k so they can use my money to invest in their agenda. That's madness, because then we become part of the problem when we invest in the evil. And now you know why I felt that way. Because the blackmail that was put on America because of all this stuff that these people were involved in, this isn't even our America, and it hasn't been for a long time. Our agenda and our American agenda has been a foreign agenda for many, many, many decades. Wrap your brain around that for a minute. Everything you've invested in, if you're an investor, was investing in somebody else's agenda. You've been lied straight to your face. This absolutely is a conspiracy. Epstein, let's summarize. Invested in isolated populations. St. Thomas, the Virgin Islands, was one. He wanted to study. He wanted to do genetics programs. He was investing in IVF. He was investing in looking at children's faces and life touch. He was invested in being close to the, what was it called? The Tiny Bits hub, where little girls were targeted for internet access. Was it called Tiny Bits? Somebody help me out here. And we want to make the claim our government didn't put the puzzle pieces together, or something weird was going on here? You'd have to be half asleep to believe that. Of course they knew. It's very easy to put the picture together. That everybody knew that this guy was targeting young girls and nobody did anything about it. This guy should have been in jail for the rest of his life. But instead, he got out and he continued to do business with everyone else around him. What does that tell you? I think our government funded Epstein. I think they were the ones who funded the whole thing. So there's a little summary, and that's only half of it, what I could pull off the top of my brain. So, yep, the government was involved and covered it up. Yep, Pam Bondi, a complete disappointment. But remember, she serves the president. And so does Kash Patel. Kash Patel also lied to our face. So the lie really came from Trump. He told them, you better get your, blanks in there and erase every single negative post about me in the files. And here's a list of my friends. That's what they told him. He told them to do. And we already knew his name was redacted. We already knew Trump's name was redacted because we couldn't even find one email about how beautiful of a day it was, or hey, when are you going to come to Mar-a-Lago? We got a party going on. Or hey, where are you at? I'm at the party. We're supposed to believe there are 200 to 1,000 pictures of Epstein and Trump together at parties, and we're supposed to believe that nobody picked up the phone and said, hey, where are you at? Hey, are you going to show up to this party? Hey, are you going? We're supposed to believe there's not one email, not one text message, not one iMessage. Well, I guess there wouldn't have been iMessages back then. And they just had clairvoyance. They just like mind melded. They're like, yes, I will be at the party. Yes, I will be at the party too. I will see you there. We will take pictures there. And we're only seeing the 1,000 pictures that were taken. Imagine all of the other parties where no picture was taken. These guys were best friends. Some of you said, wow, there are more pictures of Epstein with Trump than the number of times that I've taken pictures with my best friend. And that's actually true. I think about my best friend, there's probably 5 or 6 pictures of us standing in the frame together. Right? But with Trump and Epstein, you have hundreds of pictures. Now, I know it's different because it's like a social thing that they do, and they take pictures together at these events. I know it's a little bit different than my life, right? Of me and my fishing buddies. But you get the point. You get the point. Wow. All right. I think I've ranted long enough. I love you guys. And is there anything you guys want me to look for maybe for tomorrow's show? I'm going to take some notes here. I hope that, I could convey some common sense today, because it's really easy to get into the politics of this and just assume that because someone criticizes Trump, that they're just a Democrat out to get him. Oh, this is just like the times you tried to impeach him. No, this is different. Did you see me jump on the bandwagon with the Russiagate and all that? No, I didn't. So, PSI powers theoretically include telepathy and telekinesis. Dollar Tree has turned into $5 Tree. Videodrome. Okay, let's type that in. I might be able to do that. Videodrome movie. Nippovirus. Okay. Good one. All right. I mean, who else? What we need is a complete list of everything that Jeffrey Epstein funded. That would give us, like, right there, that would be gold. We could find a complete list of everything that he funded. Oh, and who he donated money to. Like, I think we looked this up before, and he had donated to both Democrats and Republicans. What does that tell you? Dollar General is $5 General now. Yeah. When Trump gave presidential commendations to Warp's team, I was done with Trump. Yep, there you go. Okay, if someone makes arsenic and they say, well, it's your choice if you want to take it, right? Well, let's say diluted arsenic, because diluted arsenic will only kill some people and others it won't. Okay, so that's essentially what he did. When you start using your common sense and you realize that was completely unnecessary for him to do warp speed, then you start to figure it out. But according to the Epstein files, Epstein's and Bill Gates, the vaccine was the central component. It had to be made. It had to be made by Trump because it's part of the plan. Eric asked me to look into the last scruting. I don't really cover the scrutings anymore. That's one way we've been able to stay alive on YouTube. I used to cover all of them. In fact, we mapped them out under the Obama presidency. Oh, you never go after Obama. Yeah, absolutely did. We mapped out every single school scruting on a map under the Obama presidency. And guess what? It formed a giant smiley face all across America. Some of you remember that video. I couldn't believe it. It literally outlined a smiley face on America. The nose was like the Colorado shooting, and then I think the mouth was like, I can't remember if it was the East Coast or the West Coast, and then there were two eyes. It was unbelievable. Okay. Yeah, there's other channels that cover the scrutings. You know, what you'll realize about YouTube channels is some of us specialize in certain areas. We can't do it all. So I don't mind if you go to other channels to get information on scrutings that I don't cover, obviously. Thanks, Finn. Okay. Jeffrey Epstein was a prolific donor to political campaigns. The majority of his federal political donations, Bill Clinton, Hillary, and I didn't see the rest of that. Smiley face killers, yep. I wish there was a way to search for how they're mind controlling these scruters. To be honest, I think all scruters that we're told are scruters, I believe they're all just patsies, and the real scruters are likely, some kind of special forces team. Now, who in their right mind would do that for, for our government? That's a special kind of evil. But who knows? Maybe they're told this is what we have to do to maintain the democracy, But that's a special kind of evil. All right. So I've got Videodrome movie. I've got search for Nipah virus. Maybe we should look it up now. Got the search pulled up here. Nipah. One document. Nathan Wolf, global virus forecasting fieldwork in Central Africa to detect zoonotic viruses, monitor viral spillover from bushmeat and wildlife, and develop early warning system to prevent pandemics. People mention Anthony Fauci. Wow. And all these people don't know who they are. So Fauci was talking about the Nipah virus. Here are the dates. Wonder if Fauci's in the files. Put his name in. 194 times. What's important are the dates. Anything predating COVID is important. Okay, these are all 2020. I'll dig into that as well. Okay, well, Boots is in trouble. If you guys want a Boots update, he's out causing trouble. So basically, he doesn't like it in the garage anymore. So he just goes out on the deck and he stares through the window, through the sliding glass door. And then, of course, he's playing his little violin, his little cat violin, because he's so sad out there. But then I open the door. He comes in. I give him a couple treats. But he wants me to come outside, right? So why is Boots in trouble? Well, Boots went next door and got in a fight with the neighbor's cat. And the neighbor messaged me and said, hey, Boots was over here and got in a fight with my cat. And he wasn't like mad or anything, but he's just told me. And he's like, does he have his rabies shot? And I had to check. And he does have his rabies shot. So I'm like, Boots, bro, stay in your lane. Just stay. You got 6 acres to run around on. Why do you have to go to the neighbors? His front door is like 75 yards away. Just chill, bro. So I don't know what Boots is up to. I guess he's growing up. He's growing up. Yeah, he's doing his sad violin. He's got everything he needs here. Flying fur. Oh, I asked him. I asked the neighbor. I go, was there any damage to your cat? He says, yeah, there was a scratch underneath her eye, but Boots came back unscathed. I didn't see any damage on him. So now, of course, I'm joking. Boots is not in trouble. Cats are cats. That's what they do. But it's funny, The first thing he does before he even kills a rat, he goes over and starts a fight with the cat next door. Yeah, he's probably just lonely. Gosh, you're right. You're right, Kim. He's lonely. He's trying to make friends with them probably, and they don't want to have anything to do with him. Because remember, he came from a whole pack of cats. Like, they found him. He was a rescue at an abandoned rental. Then my friends got him all, got him fixed and everything. Then they brought him home to their place while I was in California. So he was there for, I think, a month or longer with like 3 or 4 other cats. And they're all like friends and everything and hanging out. Then he went from there to my house where there's no cats for him except the neighbors. So he's probably like, hey, what's up? You want to be friends? And the girl cat's like, get away from me, fool. And he's like, come on. And then they got in a fight. So anyway, maybe he needs a cat buddy. But see, I don't want to become a cat man. I don't want to be a crazy cat man. Because it starts with 2, and then it becomes 3, and then it becomes 7, and then it becomes 10, right? Oh, boy. Now, the good news is Boots is now free from the litter box. He never goes in the litter box anymore that's in the garage. In fact, he barely goes in the garage anymore. So his food and water's in there. I just put a bowl for him out on the back deck. I put a bowl of water for him just in case. I don't want them to get thirsty because it's not good for cats not to have water because their kidneys will get messed up. So I put a bowl of water out there for him. He doesn't seem hungry. I'm like, dude, your food's in the garage. Go in the garage. So I had gone in there and cleaned out the garage the other day, and I think it freaked him out bad. So that's why he's not going back in there. So, yeah. Yeah, I don't want to become a crazy cat, man. Enter the cats. Do not redact images. I meant for the redacted text. Same thing. The same rule applies. That's illegal. The law says I could go to prison. You want me to go to prison? Are you trying to get me to go to prison? You're not allowed to unredact federally redacted text, even. It's against the law. Now, there's people doing it, and it's up to the Justice Department whether or not they want to prosecute you. But the last thing I need is any more heat than I'm already getting. They just hacked my computer last week, as you guys all saw. Now I'm going to unredact images, have the feds on my doorstep. There's enough evidence already showing that what these people are doing without even unredacting the images and putting this channel and my life at risk. So, and I'm not trying to be a jerk. I'm just being stern about this. It's a soft rebuke, There are plenty of other channels that have probably unredacted the files. And I recommend that if that's what you need to see, then you go to those channels. But let's see how all this plays out. And my guess is that they're going to start coming after some of these people that are unredacting the file, using a trick to unredact the files. They're going to come after them. So, some cats don't like their food next to their water. Oh, okay, Betty. Thank you for that. Oh, boy. Yeah, I've got I'm like a cat rookie. So I've got his litter box next to the water, next to the food. They're all in one spot. Maybe that's why he's mad at me. He's like, dude, bro, get it together. You're not supposed to put all my stuff in the same spot. So he's like trying to give me a hint there or something, maybe. I don't know. Oh my gosh. One day I went out there. This is when he was in the garage. And I have the heat lamp for him. And it's on a timer and it pops on. So he jumps down. Anytime I open the door, he will jump down off of his little shelf underneath the heat lamp. And I went to pet his head. And his head was literally, there was like steam coming off of it. Like the tips of his ears were like singed or burning. I was like, bro, move your head from under the lamp. It's literally, his head was hot. Like he had a fever or something. I was like, you poor cat. So Boots isn't too bright sometimes. Oh my gosh. Crap box away from the food. Okay, thanks, Bob. I'm working on it. It's been years since I've had a cat. Decades, you guys. You guys are mad at me now. Would you eat next to your toilet? Okay, Julia, I'm gonna go fix it right now after the show. Right now, I'm gonna fix it. Oh my gosh. You got to remember, this cat was kind of sprung on me. I wasn't expecting to get a cat. My friends got it for me, and they just kind of dropped them off. And I had to like order stuff and get everything he needed. And I did the best that I could. So, my apologies. Julie is so triggered right now. I'm sorry. Okay. Oh, then don't give him some of the cat treats. There's a really, really funny Instagram channel that I do follow called The Cat Whisperer. Have you guys heard of The Cat Whisperer? I think his name's Donnie. And he's basically a cat groomer and like kind of like a vet but not really. And they call him The Cat Whisperer because no matter how wild of a cat that comes into his little clinic or whatever, he can like calm them down. And a lot of times he does it without gloves. And you're just like, how did he do that? And some of these cats are like straight up evil. They're like growling in him, making all these crazy noises. And he still is able to groom the cat. So you guys gotta look up Donnie the Cat. Yeah, he is a little bit weird. I'm Donnie the Cat Whisperer. I don't even know how I got on that guy because I like cats as they show up in my feed. And I was just like, and he brings in all kinds of different kinds of cats. So it's like funny, right? And some of the cats, they're so sweet and nice and they just lay down. They're so calm. And other cats just go completely ballistics. So anyway, some of you don't like cats and you're probably tuned out of the show today. There are a lot of cat lovers. And yeah, about 30 of you don't like cats. They tuned out, went on to the next YouTube video. Oh gosh. Yeah, I guess it's common sense. Yeah, I would not want to eat. I mean, do you guys know people who eat while they're on the toilet? Some people do. Okay, how many? Okay, let's see. Let's do a poll. Okay, we're just having fun now. Okay, let's do a poll. Engage your audience. Start a poll. Do you know someone, anybody, who eats while on the toilet? Oh, gosh. Oh, my gosh, that's hilarious. Oh my gosh, 80-20 rule. About 20% of you know some people that eat on the toilet. Oh my gosh, that is hilarious. Now, have you guys seen the cat videos of cats that actually go in the toilet? They go in the toilet. Some people have trained their cats to actually go in the toilet. I think some can even flush the toilet. They pull the little knob down. So hard to know it's AI these days, though. That's disgusting. Yeah, a food addict would be someone that would go to the bathroom on the toilet or eat while on the toilet. Potty jokes are funny, aren't they? Okay. What I don't understand are people that eat in the middle of the night. I've never met a person that eats in the middle of the night, but some people do it. Okay. So Jamie has seen cats go on the toilet. That is amazing. No food in the bathroom. Gross. 29% of humanity is lost. That's funny. You guys are hilarious. Okay. Yeah, we pretty much went full retard, didn't we? My cat Kachu, not with us, goes on uses a bidet. Is that what you said? That's funny. My cat jumped in the shower. Oh my gosh. How about cats on a leash? Very first cat I think I ever got back when I was a young man starting a family. We got leashes for the cats. Those are the cats that gave me cat scratch fever. I had cat scratch fever. It was horrific. What a crazy and disgusting disease. Anyway, we got leashes for those cats. They never worked. Cats go insane. Unless you start when they're a kitten, you cannot put a leash on a cat. It's worse than trying to train a horse, a wild horse. So, yeah. Okay. Yeah, now if you're pregnant, yeah, you're going to eat in the middle of the night, I'm thinking. The cat mafias. Maybe a harness would work for a cat? Possibly. Someone has a neighbor who walks their cat on a leash. Yeah, cat scratch fever is real. I had it. My kids had it too. Cats love strollers, says Tara. Cool. Coco won't get on a leash, says Marcy. I love it too when you guys share pictures of your cats on my Facebook post when I'm sharing boots. That's really cool because I get to see all your guys' cats too. So that's awesome. All right, enough cat talk. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Much love, everybody.